singer?
and met a lot of wrong teachers on the way who kind of demotivated me. She's the wife of somebody very successful in the Bollywood, and she says to me that being in India, if you want to sing Western songs, you can just be a music teacher, you can never be a performer.
Oh.
And I was 17 years old, listening this for the first time. Kinda, it set me back. But I think again, I'll say as a teenager, I've been very rebellious within. So I was like, I'll prove you wrong someday.
To feel an emotion, you have to be in the emotion.
Exactly.
So are you in love?
I am, and I think it's a process which would never end.
Wow, that's so nice. So who was more supportive at home, mom or dad?
None of them, I would say.
Yeah. When is your Singles in the May coming out?
So it's called M2A.
Okay.
So it's a song about journeys between places.
Okay.
And how that journey can transform things between two people who are sitting around them. There's a lot of heat, there's a lot of argument, there's a lot of intense depth to love and hatred evolving now.
So let's hear a line.
I think right now I'm not allowed to do that.
Okay.
Surely you'll hear that on the streaming platforms.
It's a Sunday today, but I would call it a musical Sunday today. We have Manthan with us. He's a research scholar. I would say born as a singer, did hardcore training as a singer-songwriter, and as a beautiful journey, hard work of 10 years. Manthan, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really glad to be.
So, Manthan, I would like to go back to 2013-14 when you just started. Okay, share with our audience your journey and how you started with Zenith Sun back then.
It's a very, I won't say it's just a very weird journey for me, because when I look back at myself as a musician, so sometimes when you look at a childish version of yourself, anything, I think, in any profession, when you feel that this is the time that you've progressed at a certain stage. So the journey of the initial years, the preliminary stage of that, looks like very childish. So to me now, it looks like very childish back then. But I think being the very beginning of that stage, how Zenith Sun came through, or the name came through, was from an idea that a couple of friends of mine, we were just discussing about few songs, and these friends of mine, they already performed in the school.
Okay.
So they were part of the school band. I never performed for the entire school band, or have been a part of any such group. For me, I've been having this fear of stage back then. So I was doing things maybe back in my room, never shared with anyone. One day I decided to share this track, a song of One Direction, which I covered, and shared to this friend of mine. And he said that you shall maybe sing with us someday. But I think the stage when we were doing this discussion, it was the point where our grade 12 examinations were coming forth.
Okay.
And like many students or many children in India back then, the way we used to have board examinations were the core element to get into colleges. So the pressure was all around, and we decided to delay it further. And that was the very genesis of, you can say, the birth of Manthan as an artist, or Zenith Sun as an artist. So things started from there. Eventually, we planned to make a band.
Okay.
And we were trying to make a rock band, which is very different from what I'm doing right now. But gradually on that journey, people just found their different ways, because I think after grade 12, everybody has different professional fields which they want to go for. I decided to stay with music, but there were professional choices very least available in the market, available all around. And that too, in the genre, when I think about it, Western genre wasn't accepted that much around 10 years ago. Neither, there were platforms, I would say, that Spotify and all these existed for the world audience, but in India we didn't have Spotify then. We didn't had other music platforms. I think Google even came much later in India with the music streaming devices. So these challenges were there to tackle them. And the biggest challenge for any artist or any musician is getting a support in the family. So that was also not that much of a case in my journey, that somewhere the support was there because my dad comes from an artistic field. So he did understand that there's no harm in choosing this profession. But somewhere, as any parent, I think they have this concern that where does the money come from?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm just
yeah.
thinking right now when you're speaking that
Yes.
I would do the same,
Exactly.
as a parent, that
Yes.
how will you survive financially? Because there's a lot of struggle.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Manthan, so Manshi,
Yes.
you were doing live sessions back then on You Now, and
Yes.
so how did it all start? I want to know, like, you started, what instrument did you start playing then? Were you doing guitar? Were you doing piano? And I mean, I understand that you said that you were, just preparing backstage and you had that stage fear.
Yeah.
So I wanted you to share with all those people out there who are facing this, now,
Yes.
the stage fear, going live.
Yes.
So let's hear.
So the transition which I had from thinking to do, live performances, this was an idea when we were thinking about making the band back in the school.
Okay.
So that transition didn't happen, I think, and I became much more in a very comfort zone that, okay, now I have to sit back.
Yeah.
And back then also I had no idea like how this industry works. I mean, how you need to go for distribution and all those things. For me, I think YouTube was very new everywhere around. So you just need to post your videos and you're just at the very safe zone where you just post your videos and wait for the comments maybe to come in, and the judgment comes after that. So back then, I think it was a very different scenario when we're talking about like social media wasn't that much active. Instagram was just a picture-based platform. And my journey also, like the kind of influence which I had from the musicians back then, was to create something if I do it someday professionally. Maybe live performances will come on later, but I think I'll just maybe sitting in the recording studios, record my music, put it on YouTube, streaming platforms. The day I think I decided to perform live maybe was somewhere when I was seeing the college festivals happening in the university.
Okay.
So I was just regretting someday, like, these people are getting the chance to do that.
Yeah.
And why I'm being so scared of doing this thing. And these children of my age or maybe younger than me are so confident when they're performing.
Yeah.
And I remember this kid from my college doing a rap and performing their originals. So that's the first time when I realized. And I went to the college team who was making music, but I think they were making in a very different genre. So things didn't work out. So again, finding the platform was difficult because being a 16-year-old or 17-year-old who's just moved on to college, thinking about a future life professionally is very difficult. So that's when I started Googling like how things are working out. And I remember this woman who's making a lot of good content on YouTube, who used to go by I Superwoman. Now she's known by Lily Singh, who's based in Canada.
Okay.
So I saw her performing on You Now. Then there was this another YouTuber which is making videos on YouTube and posting things on You Now. His name was Connor Franta.
Okay.
So these two people, when I through them, I found a platform called You Now. I found other artists, other musicians who were already performing there. So that gave me an idea, like westernized music, which is not being accepted that much in the country right now, but maybe getting an audience over there would be easier.
Yeah.
And in a way, I think it was a very safe zone for me.
Okay.
So like sitting in home recording, maybe it's live, but again, you're not on the stage. Doing a live show on the stage and doing live at home is much more, I think, easier as compared to that of the stage.
Yeah.
So that's how the journey with You Now began. And I think the question which you asked about the instruments, it came much ago. So I think I was in grade 5 and I asked my mom to get me a keyboard.
Yeah.
So I self-learned, I think, through these notations which were available on Google. And gradually friends of mine who had keyboard, they helped me get those notations. So that's how it used to work earlier. Now I think the things have changed, so you have a lot of resources now.
Oh, nice. So you are kind of self-made because you learned everything on your own in the initial years.
Yes.
So did you do a formal training into music later on?
initially is the target was to find a teacher. I won't lie that I wasn't finding a teacher back then. So we tried our hands on a lot of teachers.
Yeah.
But the problem, I think, entirely in India was that, again, I think you might have seen this series which has brought this debate again
Yeah.
about Western music versus Indian
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
So there was a debate earlier also, like if you do Indian classical music, you'll be able to do Western music.
Yeah.
And that's what the perception my father also had in. So
Yeah.
initially, I think we spent years finding
The right
somebody
teacher
who was doing
Yeah.
Indian classical. But I couldn't, I think the rebel in me was that there are a lot of people who are doing Western music, especially they're based abroad.
Yeah.
They're not from English speaking nations. And when their English isn't a primary language and they are doing that, even some Indians, I think JC and other artists who were doing, who went from here to there. So my rigidity on this thing made me like wander a lot of places and met a lot of wrong teachers on the way who kind of demotivated me. So this I wouldn't like to name her or demean this lady, but I met this woman. I think she's the wife of somebody very successful in the Bollywood, and she says to me that being in India, if you want to sing Western songs, you can just be a music teacher. You can never be a performer.
Oh.
And I was 17 years old, listening this for the first time. Kinda, it set me back. But I think again, I'll say as a teenager, I've been very rebellious within. So I was like, I'll prove you wrong someday. Whenever it be, it's not about proving you, but I think proving myself that this is my craft, and I think there's a possibility in India. And whenever it happens, I don't know. So that's how I think shaped out finding the teachers. So initially it didn't work out. Finally, I think after a long years of struggle, I found Nadia Balyan ma'am, who is running Delhi Chamber Choir. She has a unique journey also. Like when you go through her journey, she came from Russia. So she was a part of Russian Conservatory. Then she formed Delhi Chamber Choir here. So it's one of the most classical groups which is performing Western classical music. So when I met her for the first time, people told me, I met her through Himanshu Joshi uncle, who's a part of Indian Ocean Band. He introduced me to her. So he said that you have to be very particular with your classes, and she does mind if you are not very serious. So first few classes, I was very nervous, but I think that nervousness went off when I met her for the first time. The kind of warmth she has and the way she teaches you. I've never seen that it has ever happened that all these teachers whom I've been searching all these years, that was missing. So I think the dots connected and I found her. So understanding the classical music, understanding the sheet music, which I never thought would be very important for me as a kid. But being around her, learning from her, I think changed my vision towards music as well.
You know, while you were talking, I was remembering when my son was like, back, he was I think in the 8th standard, we were looking for a Western classical guitar teacher.
Yes.
Okay. It was very difficult.
Exactly.
And all the teachers out there, all the teachers who were teaching Indian classical would say, same hi to hai. Ab ye sikha lijiye.
Yes.
I had a lot of challenge finding the right teacher, and finally I found one at the Delhi School of Music.
Yes.
So they had these Northeastern teachers who would teach. Until date, like he's an excellent guitarist.
Yes.
So I understand that if you learn Western classical, it's easier to adapt to Indian classical also.
Yes.
It's both ways.
Yes, exactly.
But just saying that you learn this and you'll be able to, I think that's very difficult.
Exactly.
It goes.
There's never a battle between two.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking to my teacher one day, that I don't know why this battle has always been there.
Yeah.
That one is above the other.
Yeah.
For me, I think when you're looking as an artist,
yeah.
for you, it should be just music. It's just a craft.
Yeah.
So languages, music form shouldn't be a barrier.
Yeah. Excellent, Manthan. I want to tell all my viewers, he's really mature at this age, and I think his music is even maturer. And this is wonderful. Manthan, I want you to tell all our listeners about the kind of music you're making.
Yes.
What is your forte and what are you best at?
I wouldn't say, I think again, I had this conversation with my teacher regarding the best thing. So I was telling her that I never feel satisfied with the work I'm doing. Maybe I'm very confident enough when I'm posting that, and I love the work which I've posted so far. But I wouldn't say that I'm really best at it, because I think every stage of mine, when I look at it, I think I'm still learning, and I think I see there's a room to learn more. So that satisfaction as a human, I think we have a greed for a little more. For me, greed isn't about success. Greed is about learning more and evolving further. So what I can say is I'm confident enough when I'm doing things, is the kind of songs which I'm making right now, the reason which I decided to put them out, and the kind of genre especially. So it took me a long while to understand that this genre I'm comfortable with. And as a kid, I think I've been not very confident earlier with the genre which I shall go for. And like every teenager or everyone who's learning music in the initial days, the mistake which I used to do was that copying the artist whom you love. So finding your own voice is something I think very crucial for everyone. That took me a long while, and that is the thing which wasn't working in the initial years. That was something which I found that once you find your own voice and once it happens, a new journey begins from there, because so far you've been living as a carbon copy of other artists.
Yeah.
So my journey also, I think, started from there. I've been carbon copying Zayn, I think, or maybe One Direction, because I used to listen a lot of pop rock songs back then.
Okay.
Now, in this journey, when I started listening to a lot more other artists, and when I started experimenting and composing, I realized this is my voice, and that's how the journey, I think, began with these solo or these singles which I've just released.
Okay. Now, Manthan, tell me something. You said that you been, initial years you were just copying your favorite artist.
Yeah.
So all your different, singles and EPs. Tell us about that, and what have you named them?
Singles have been so far 5 of them like came out as a single. So our motive was to release the singles first.
Okay.
Again, I had no understanding about the market.
Yeah.
So I asked my producer, like, what is the best way to approach that? So these are the things not available on YouTube, or nobody tells you that.
Yeah.
So I asked few other people. So they told me, like, release few singles, and that's how the first single came out, Raconte. Then came Vintage, and after that came By My Side, and finally Ruse came. After Ruse, we decided to come with an EP, which went by the name Amber.
Okay.
And the common between all these was that earlier I didn't think that way when I was picturing out an EP, but all these songs were related to love. Okay. And not exactly love. Love can be an emotion which can be clubbed with a lot of other emotions. And that's very human. I think when I saw my journey with love, I've never seen that love was that simple. So love can be with hatred, love can be with, love can be selfless, love can be a lot more other things. So that's how we pictured out Amber as an EP.
Okay.
And further also, I think it's not going to be entirely a journey about love songs only, that you can see me as an artist who's just making love songs.
Okay.
But somewhere I think love in all the other songs, the singles which I release later, say Cancel, or the songs which I'm working on right now, every human has those sentiments of love, be my age, be a 60-year-old, be a kid. So I think my idea to create music further is also to remove that notion from people's mind that once you cross the age of 30, and somewhere I'm on the pathway where I'm be crossing my 30s sooner, that before 30s, it's considered that these are the artists who are just growing, or these are the young people who are talking about love. Once they become mature, I think they should be working on a lot more mature concepts of songs. But I disagree with that thing, because every song you take out, you'll find a bit of it talking about love, maybe in a very different shade of that. So my motto is to put that forward, be it any form of song or any other genre.
So they always say, that to feel an emotion, you have to be in the emotion.
Exactly.
So are you in love?
I am, and I think it's a process which would never end.
Wow, that's so nice. It's important for you to complete your, education background and all your research. So how do you balance your research to economics and then your music, family life? How do you manage all that?
There are different sets of this journey again. So it was way more difficult when I was in college, in my bachelor's and master's. So during the bachelor's, it's the same time when I decided that, okay, I shall do this professionally someday. But right now I'm working on it. The journey of Jen Sun was happening meanwhile. So I remember the college schedule used to be like where half the time I had to be in college, and my college used to be like function from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 in the evening.
Okay.
So finding a right spot was very difficult. So I never bunked my classes, I'll say that. I've given equal time to my academics back then. And thankfully, I think in second year or third year, I topped my university. So it was happening. So my parents were satisfied with that. That, okay, the academic thing is happening. So that was the gateway where I got that. My parents never figured out. I never told them because we had this conversation happening back then that you might find it difficult to manage both of them. So you shall drop one of that. So when I was doing behind the scenes, all these things, so what I used to do, come back from college, whenever I have the time, say around 3 or 4 in the afternoon, I'll keep these 3 to 4 hours for rehearsals or doing the now sessions. So that's how it used to work back then. Now, coming back from that journey to that of a researcher, now PhD is a really struggling thing when you look at it. But I think the initial years are that. But I think once you are devoted to something, both of the things. So it's not that I hate economics or I hate the other professions. So finding the right balance is when you know that what is the time you have with you and how you need to divide those time. And you have to be very much into those things. So that's how have been shaping my schedule. That way, that if I'm doing research, it's just research. If I'm doing music, it's just music. So when there's a fine balance between two and you're just not mixing those things together, I think anyone can do two professions if they are very different from each other.
So who was more supportive at home, mom or dad?
None of them, I would say.
Yeah.
So I think that was the challenge, which was in initial years, because the first conversation which I had, it was with my dad. Then obviously my dad had a conversation with my mom somewhere like, okay, he's doing this, and I don't know if there's a serious profession or what he shall be doing that. So it wasn't that they said no to that. They said that experience that, but there should be a parallel career with that. So the conversation earlier which we had was much more melodramatic at once.
So did you hear that इसलिए तुमको पढ़ाया है, इसलिए तुमको पढ़ा लिखा के बड़ा किया है?
Not exactly, it was that much filmy, but I think like you have this meme or somewhere you've seen on the internet, Sharma ji ka beta and all that thing. So it was much a comparison came in through there. Okay, you've seen the other kids deviating their way when they went for art or somewhere. So I think that was just 1 month. Then I decided just to stay quiet and do my things on my own. And once I've done something which I can prove it, so I think now when the conversation which I had, sometimes I have to like shush my parents that, okay, don't reveal the things further because my songs haven't released because the kind of energy they have right now.
Correct.
So I think now I've understood, I think at this age, the generation gap, the family dynamics and everything. So I think my parents weren't wrong back then. And I do understand them very well now, being in this position.
No, I love how you've taken it into your, lifestyle. You've actually accepted everything, and which is, I think that also makes you a mature person. This is wonderful. So Manthan, what was your experience like, performing live at the Banaras Lit Fest and the Kalinga Lit Fest? And you performed for the first time, right?
Yeah, that was the first live show. I mean, you can say for the stage.
Okay.
Behind, like online, I was doing, but never on the stage I've done that.
Okay. And straight you went to the Lit Fest?
Straight, I think when I decided, like, there were offers coming for the live shows earlier also. I was saying no, because I was having this fright. And also, I think the right course of action, as per everybody in the industry whom I've been working with, they were saying that maybe just work on your few songs, because for live shows, you need a certain amount of songs. So once that juncture came that, okay, I have some set of songs ready, so I can play it around, say, for 30 to 35 minutes maybe.
Okay.
So we decided to go with these live shows.
Okay.
I think the first one was Banaras Literature Festival, where we went for. So the experience behind it was again crazy because doing it for the first time, there are a lot of prerequisites before that. So I had no, again, like I had a little bit of idea. I've seen the shows happening in school, colleges. So to that extent, I know that. But doing it professionally for the first time, that what all requirements you have technically, how you need to send a tech writer, how you need to manage things on the stage, lightings, and all those things, which comes along, then you need to have a set of musicians also, which I already knew. So I think that was one of the best journeys because I met these two wonderful musicians. So the guitarist whom I'm working with, Yash Pava, and the pianist whom I'm working with, Shawnish Girdhar.
Okay.
So Shawnish Girdhar's journey is like when I met Shawnish for the first time. We come from the same school.
Okay.
And when I was in grade 12, he was somewhere in nursery.
Okay.
So I remember Shawnish as a little kid who's like roaming around in school. So years after, when we went to like, I was there in school due to some purpose, and they were trying to figure out, they wanted me to perform live someday. So that's when I met Shawnish.
Okay.
And we decided that we'll be working together because I think I found something different in him. Okay. And I could see maybe a vision of mine, a younger version of mine in him. So that's how I met these two musicians. Okay. And we finally decided, okay, we'll be performing live for Banaras. So there was a little bit of fright initially that how things gonna go. But I don't know, I think the stage is magical or what. That once we are on the stage. So for Shawnish and me, it was the first performance. Okay. Yash was already doing it professionally so far. So he had the confidence about the stage. So
but were you not scared? Like, what if you goofed up at that time? Or what if it didn't go as planned? Then
I think that thing didn't come up, maybe because I think in the past few years when I began my PhD, so we have to do seminars and the crowd which comes in is say more than 100. So also we have to attend guests, we have to attend these academicians who are coming from the country. So that stage fright, I think, went away from that. There.
And you get maturer also with
age. I think age plays a lot more role. For sure.
Okay. So see, I understand as when you're growing up as a during your teenage and college, there are so many challenges, there are so many difficulties. Did music actually help you passing that phase? Any difficulties? What are some great lessons you've learned?
Music I see always as a two dimension of seeing that. One as a listener, one as a artist, or one as a performer when you say that. So I think the initial years when I was creating things, but it wasn't out for the public. So I think being a listener, music played much of a role. So I've had these years of period when I was not diagnosed with that because I think in India we didn't have those platforms to know if you're in depression. So I've had these phases of life when I was in depression, and gradually I figured out, like through the right resources on the online, that okay, this is something happening. So everybody, I think, through these online resources or the psychologists available outside, they used to tell me that maybe engage yourself in things which take you out of this phase. So everywhere around, I think music was there, and the right choices of songs which came through. And especially I remember the reason when people asked me that why only English, आप इंग्लिश में खाली गाना क्यों बनाते हो, तो मेरा आंसर यही रहता है कि उस समय खाली अंग्रेजी के वो गाने मेरे इर्द गिर्द थे जिनकी वजह से मेरे लिए आसान था उन इमोशंस के पास जाना.
Correct.
So music helped me heal, and I think later in stage of my life, I think these were the childhood days, say the college days when I was feeling through certain emotions. Even when I came out of it, when I started creating music, so I've been into this relationship which was kind of psychologically very abusive. So coming out of that relationship gave me an understanding about a lot of more things. And when I was creating music, and I think you start seeing things. So I think Rockstar in another movie ki Dil Tootta Hai, something like that, maybe it worked like that you understand things. And in a way I think things started becoming start coming to me from a more mature perspective. And now when I see music or understand music, I see that music has helped me heal myself. And same is my process. I think if my music can help out other people to heal in their journeys, I think that's the target of every musician.
Wow, wonderful. So where do you see yourself in 3 years now?
3 years from now, I think creating more songs. I don't know where this journey is gonna taking me further, and I don't want to think. I think I'm somebody who doesn't think much about future. I do have plans for my future. I'll say that what I'm gonna do in for future, but I've never seen success or any other things that I do aim for that. But I think it's not getting into my head that I have to get onto that thing. So I see myself in 3 years creating more songs, creating new things. I think I don't want my life to be monotonous. And this is me. I think I just get bored if I do the same thing over and over. So maybe the genre which I'm working right now, you never see me working in that genre after 3 years.
So see, we understand that there are, bundles of new artists coming into the industry now, singers, different kinds of music. And with AI, it is much, much easier also. What I understand कि पहले लोग skill पे बहुत ध्यान देते थे. So they achieved that, level of the great singers. With AI, it's a little more easier. You feel the difference?
I do feel the difference, but again, I think this question was posed to my dad a day before.
Okay.
He was at this festival.
Okay.
So he's a poet.
Okay.
So the question asked to him was, I think he has a very beautiful answer, and I'd like to quote him for that. That आपके हाथ में चाकू है, आप उसको कैसे utilize करते हैं depends upon you. You can cut somebody's throat, or you can use it for cutting fruits.
Yeah.
So same as with technology, I think there was a lot of debate going on years ago when computers came in, that it's going to take up jobs, it's going to do things or make things much more easier, productivity is going to decline. And I'll like to bring economics somewhere here in between, because I think Robert Solow is an economist who said that years ago that computers going to be the downfall for the human race.
Yeah.
And the same economist, after I think in somewhere in the mid-90s, he says that he considers that technology is gonna help you with the productivity.
Yeah.
So I think same applies with the music, that at what capacity you're using it. So recent days, the problem with, I think, AI majorly is that cloning of voice. So creating voices of Lata Mangeshkar and any other artist. But again, I think if you're a true musician, you'll understand that what Lata Mangeshkar did as a magic, AI can't generate that.
Yeah, of course.
And even for, say, auto-tuning and other things, I don't see it in a bad way, because there are singers or there are actors who've tried auto-tune. So you can make a clear-cut difference between them and the artists. So these mainstream artists who are singing these days, they also have a little bit of auto-tune. But उनके सुर इतने पक्के हैं कि आपको पता नहीं चलेगा. So auto-tune is doing a job where they're fixing minor altercations.
Yeah.
So if you see technology as a tool which is helping you out, maybe saving your time, which used to take, say, 5 to 6 hours, it's saving your time as well. But I won't deny the fact that, which you said, there are some people who are getting success out of that. So some people find easy way out of that.
Yeah.
So I think it's again a personal choice how people utilize that. If you talk about me, I think I believe in taking multiple takes when we are doing the singing. जब तक वो सुर या सही पे नहीं जाता है, we won't be creating a song just like that कि एक take में वो गाना हो गया. So I think it depends upon how we utilize the technology.
Okay, Manthan, when is your singles in the May coming out? And tell us about that.
That single is coming. Earlier I was planning somewhere in mid-May, but I think again there are a lot of processes involved in between. Yeah. So somewhere towards the end of May we are planning that.
Okay.
And the journey is again strange for this song, because I was thinking to shelve this song.
Oh.
Because I was thinking maybe you release this song next year.
Yeah.
And I don't know, a certain instinct gave me that this is the right time, maybe I shall do that. And this song connects with the first song of mine. So the first song was Raconte. And I'll announce the title here, I think. It's the perfect platform for that. So it's called M2A.
Okay.
So it's a song about journeys between places.
Okay.
And how that journey can transform things between two people who are sitting around, and there's a lot of heat, there's a lot of argument, there's a lot of intense depth to love and hatred evolving now.
Okay.
So
So let's hear a line.
I think right now I'm not allowed to do that.
Okay.
Surely you'll hear that on the streaming platforms.
Okay. Now, what has been your success mantra?
Success mantra. The only one mantra which I believed in is that be authentic. And I think same as we've been taught in research and everywhere that if you're authentic, because if I see it from a perspective that in the modern day, there are so many platforms, so many musicians creating a lot of stuffs. How can you mark your presence as being authentic and being true to yourself? And another thing is about being discouraged because there are times where you might feel low. So how to tackle that is that if you know what you're doing, if you're confident enough with what you are doing, everything is a noise in my opinion. So I think you need to be that much confident when you're pursuing your craft as a career.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, now let's do your rapid fire.
Sure.
Okay, so if your life had a background score, what song would you be playing during your morning chai?
That would be Believer by Imagine Dragons.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's harder, writing lyrics or finding Wi-Fi at Indian Literary Fest?
So I've been to literature festivals recently. So I would say that the second one, I think. The second one because you're dependent on other people. The first one is you are the boss of everything.
Yeah. Okay. So one instrument you love but totally can't play yet.
I'm in really love with sitar.
Wow.
So I'd like to learn it someday. Whenever it happens, I don't know, but I think I would definitely love to learn sitar.
Beautiful. Okay, Roos. That's how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Okay, Roos sounds mysterious. Yeah. Now, what's the most ridiculous excuse you've ever given to skip work or class for it?
I would say class because I think I'm a pretty workaholic person.
Okay.
So I've given the excuse in school back then because there was this festival happening and I didn't want to be a part of that.
Okay.
So there were rehearsals happening all around that they were asking you to dance, and dance is something I don't like doing.
Okay.
So I just made an excuse that I don't know. I think the easy excuse for every Indian kid is that the grandparents are ill or something, and that's what I think I did back then. I think
all kids or all youngsters do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's your dream collab? A Grammy-winning artist or your favorite chaiwala with a killer playlist?
If the chaiwala is really musical and he can sing, I wouldn't mind.
Nice. So, if economics had a theme song, what would it be?
I think that's what I've heard from a lot of other people when I say that I'm pursuing economics. So I think it's the same song which I said is going to be my morning anthem.
Okay.
Believer, because I think people are frightened with numbers when we talk about economics.
Yeah, nice. Okay, worst lyric you've ever written but secretly still love?
I won't say lyrics, but I think poetry was a form of that.
Okay.
So I wrote this poetry because I was in certain intense emotion back in school and I just wrote it and I posted it online. So I got a comment from somebody saying that what the rubbish piece you've written. So after days when I reflect back at it, okay, I understood it. It's not something to be posted online or to be out of the public, but I think somewhere it was an emotion that makes me close to that.
Okay, so in a parallel universe, what would Manthan be doing apart from being a rock star or economist?
Maybe somewhere in the International Space Station, somewhere along Sunita Williams or somebody else.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what's your go-to song when your mood is I need validation?
Go-to song, I think, I would say I'm a sucker for this one song. It's called Moral of the Story. It's about like a lady who got divorced.
Okay.
But again, I think it helps me to understand the things like I had a certain phase when I was going through, and when I look back at it, it helps me know that okay, this is the stage which I was going to.
Okay.
Now this is a journey I've had. It morals my boost that like it boosts my energy that okay, this was a journey I had. Now I'm somewhere better.
Okay.
So that reflection when it comes in.
Okay, nice. Okay, so give us your most serious advice in the most dramatic Bollywood style.
I'm not sure I remember those lines very right, but I think it was from Om Shanti Om that किसी चीज को आप चाहो तो पूरी कायनात उसको आपको मिलाने की कोशिश करती है. Okay. So I think this is what I think I feel that in my journey also it has helped me. Okay, nice. Okay, Manthan, your last question now. What is one advice you would like to give to all those youngsters
who started early singing music,
Yeah.
composing music? You know, you're a songwriter, you're a composer.
Two things, as I mentioned earlier, that finding the right voice is very important for every artist. But beyond that, I think what is important is that most of us are very rigid. We stay in a bubble. And when we are in teenage, and I'm not stereotyping it to Generation Z especially, but I think the coming generation has this thing that being self-righteous a lot. So that thing has to be taken care of, that move out of that bubble.
Yeah.
There's a lot more world to experience, and learn through people, learn through experiences, and find yourself. Because until and unless we are moving out of that bracket, we'll never experience the true musicians we want to be.
Nice. Okay. So let's hear something from your old singles, or your favorite single. Let's hear.
So this is a song which I wrote for somebody, and I think for me, I think it's my personal favorite because the intense amount of emotions which I wrote it. It's called Vintage, and these are the few lines of that. Every day I look at you, every day I want us to cross these realms together. Every day the flame in my eyes is fueling up with time when I see you talking to them so often. But your eyes brings to me peace, 'cause they tell me that you wanna be mine forever.
Very nice, and your voice is so beautiful.
Thank you.
So nice. It was a great show with Manthan Journey. Get in touch with him. He's a youngster with a lot of magic and lot of enthu about music. Get in touch with him. Check out his singles and his music. And Manthan, आपका बहुत बहुत thank you. क्या bye.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया मुझे यहाँ बुलाने के लिए.